Welcome, everybody. Today we're going to continue our teaching on relationship advice, and the Lord really gave Gina something awesome, and it's titled, Are You Planning a Marriage or Are You Planning a Wedding? And I think that's a great topic.
Yeah, I think it is. It actually came about because I personally know many people that just in listening to them talking about their upcoming marriage,
Right.
everything is focused on the wedding day. There is no preparation for the actual marriage. And that's the thing, you don't want to just plan for this big day that's really maybe an 8-hour day of fun and festivities with friends and family. It's okay to plan for that and look forward to it and be excited about it, but it really should not be the emphasis of preparing for your marriage. You know, there's a lot you need to actually do to prepare for your life together with your new spouse.
Oh, when you said that, something stirred up in my spirit. I was being so patient.
Okay, go for it.
When it asks people, are you in love with your wedding or are you in love with your spouse?
Yeah.
Come on, tell me that isn't a good one.
Well, it's a
That's
really
Holy Spirit.
it is a really good one.
And it's going with what you're saying about, and
Yeah.
Gina just said she has known, a few people in her lifetime that
Yeah.
have just been really in love with the idea of being in love, or in love with the idea of this huge wedding, and everything is all about the wedding.
Yes.
How many people are coming? How many activities are happening before, during, and after? There's people that have
Right.
weddings and they go on their celebrations for weeks at a time.
Yeah.
But when all that is said and done, then you are going to be with your husband or your wife forever, till death do you part. That's what's in there's a reason why that's in the marriage vows. When we say these
Yes.
vows, for better or for worse, richer or poorer, to death do us part. This is a lifetime, lifelong covenant that you are making with your partner.
Absolutely. And we're not saying that there's anything wrong with having a big wedding or a
Absolutely.
lavish wedding
Sure.
and lots of festivities, if that's what's in your heart to do, or it could even be a cultural thing that's what you're going to do, and that's fine.
Absolutely.
As long as your primary focus should be on your life, looking forward ahead to your future with your spouse and what that is going to look like, and preparing together for that, not just this day of lavish festivities that when it's over and everyone has waved goodbye and you go home with all your gifts, it is you and your spouse. Now what? So that's the thing, is you really need to have your focus on the actual relationship and the marriage, and not just the dress you're wearing and the color of the tuxedo and how many bridesmaids and who's sitting at the head table. Those things in a flash will be over, and it's going to be the two of you.
Right.
So, or if you have children, it's going to be you and the family that's together. And that's what you really need to be focusing on, is planning ahead for what that future is going to look like.
Right. Make sure you keep your priorities in the right place.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of Papa Doug now, because I'm just thinking, before you and I got married, Pastor Doug Johnson, he spent time with Gina and I to really grow us up in a healthy way. I was doing my part, Gina was doing her part, having a relationship with the Lord, but we also had a wonderful spiritual father that was also training us up, and we had a wonderful role model with looking at him and his wife. That's an important thing to do also, is look at some role models. There is so much negativity that you see, and unfortunately you could even see it in the Christian community, and you're just like, look, they're Christians and they have a horrible marriage. There's a place to be. There are wonderful role models out there. Gina and I know, we could definitely count you know, there's tons of people that
We
I'm
have an
thinking of.
abundance actually
Yeah.
in our church family. We have an abundance of people that have been married many years, that are still very deeply in love with one another.
Absolutely,
I'm
and
just
it gets
thinking
better and better.
of the elders in our church, Roy and Darlene Curry. I mean,
I
they
was
have been
thinking of
married a
them.
long time. And I still look over, and when I saw them the other day, he was standing with his arms around her, and they were just and they have been married for many years. So, and they have grown children. So those are the people that when you see that and you're planning for marriage, those are the people you want to go and talk with and start getting them to pour into you about what marriage really means and what it looks like, not just the wedding day.
Absolutely.
That's a bonus. That's extra. You know, that's a great time. It's
Absolutely.
a great day, and it should look the way you want it to look. But
and
it's
a joyful time.
It is a one day thing. Or even if you're from a certain culture that, let's say it's a week-long celebration, but when that week is over and the honeymoon is over, now is time to begin your life together with your spouse. So what is that going to look like?
Right, I'm getting this. I know there's people that have heard this and they think this. You know, marriage is hard, marriage is tough. It really isn't. Marriage is a blessing, and marriage is a gift from God. And marriage was created by God. A lot of people think, well, you know, you don't need to get married, or it's just a piece of paper. It doesn't mean anything. No, God created marriage.
He did. I actually used to think that. There was
Sure,
a
I
time
did too.
when, you know, in my 20s and so forth, that I really thought marriage was just, I don't need that. It's a piece of paper. What is that? Actually, marriage is very biblical. God created marriage, and it is a covenant. That's a holy, sacred thing.
Absolutely.
It is a covenant between you, your spouse, and the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. It's a covenant relationship, and it does feel different, and it is different when you're in a covenant with another person. It is a big deal. It is not I don't sit around and think about the marriage license that's up in the drawer and say, you know, we had that piece of paper. I mean, it's like the last thing on my mind, but there's a covenant, there's a bond, there's a unity, you know, that has nothing to do with that piece of paper.
When Jean acts up, I go in that drawer and I pull out that piece of paper and I show her that.
He's actually never pulled that piece of paper out.
Like we said, marriage is a gift and a blessing. And it's such a joy. And it's so important to, you know, have the proper counseling before marriage. It's important to have wonderful role models.
It is.
I love this Joyce Meyer quote. You know, instead of always thinking the grass is greener on the other side, you need to start watering your own lawn.
Absolutely. And I think what you said is so important, that if you are planning on getting married, you know, if you are dating with a purpose right now, and you know that you are moving in the direction of marriage, really start looking around in your church family for people who have been married for a number of years, and you see a good, solid, loving relationship where you see they honor one another and they treat each other well. Start looking at those people and find out if they are interested in talking with you, if they're interested in mentoring you. And then also, you definitely want to have premarital counseling.
Absolutely.
That is a super important thing. We talked about that, I think, in the last video. Really knowing, where do the two of you plan to go together in your life? So you really need to discuss really every possibility. I mean, do you love cats and you want to have 4 of them and your husband hates them?
Or he's allergic to
Or
them?
he's allergic to them? Do you not want to have any children, but he's planning on having a big family? You know, these things are important. Do you not want the responsibility of a home and you just want a condo and you want to live by the beach, but he wants a farm? I mean, those things must be talked about. Don't just assume that
Absolutely.
because
Good
you love
word.
each other that that person wants the same thing that you want, and then after the marriage then you find out, wow, I didn't know you wanted a farm. I hate, lots of grass to mow, and I don't want the responsibility of a big house. I was hoping for a condo by the beach. This is going to be a problem. So spend time having deep, thoughtful, intimate conversation about where you want to see your life go. What kinds of plans do you have? What are your hopes and dreams? What are your goals?
Absolutely. Look at Pastor David and Pastor Tracy.
Yeah.
They've been married for many, many, many years, and we just look at their life. They are joyful. They have a wonderful relationship, and it's real. There's nothing fake about it. Like, some people look at things and say, oh, well, it may look good from the outside, but it can't be that good behind closed doors. No, it really can be.
It really can be. Ours really is. But you know what? You have to have similar goals in the end, or at the very least, you have to be very supportive of what the other person wants to do and be willing to go along for the ride. That is super important. I mean, we are both really sold out for the Lord, and we know that we want our life devoted to the Lord. I could not be married to a man that doesn't feel the same way, because it would not work. It would not. There would be, a division.
Great point.
So you need to really discuss these things up front before you plan the wedding, before you go down the aisle. Have these conversations.
Yeah, I mean, the Bible says, be not unequally yoked with an unbeliever. But I'm going to take it a step further. You don't want to be unequally yoked if you have a believer, if you both are Christians, but one is on fire for God. I don't know if we touched on that in a different teaching or not, but I'll say it again. If one person is on fire for the Lord, and every time there's a conference coming up, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and your wife wants to attend every single conference, but but if the guy calls himself a Christian, but he just likes going to church on Christmas and on Easter, there's going to be a problem with that down the road. Now, maybe the husband is okay with it and the wife is okay with it, but eventually you guys might drift apart because you really don't have the same passion. So that's why, like Gina said earlier, these are things you want to find out before you get married.
Yes.
Because a lot of people call themselves a Christian. They're under that title Christian because maybe their parents were Christians, or they just think, well, I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus. But there's a whole different ballgame when you are fully sold out and on fire for Jesus. When he's come into your life and transformed you, and you throw your all in and you just say, I give my life to you, Jesus, and wherever you want me to go, I'm going to go. We sing songs. I'll say what you want me to say.
Yeah.
I'll do what you want me to do. I'll go where you want me to go. Beautiful song. And we lift our hands up and say it. But if the Lord really told you to go somewhere, are you going to go where he tells you to go?
Right.
Are you going to say what he wants you to say? Are you going to do what he wants you to do? I say this all the time. I mean, there should be a huge difference in somebody calling themselves a Christian and somebody that is not a Christian. There should be a big difference. Because if there isn't, you really need to examine your heart and realize, why isn't there a difference? Because there should be a big difference in a Christian and an unbeliever.
Yes, I agree.
Do you have anything else to add with that?
Not right now. I think we're good on
Okay.
this topic. But we're going to have many other topics. So this is a good question that, you guys can ask yourselves. If you are right now currently dating with a purpose, or if you've already perhaps gotten engaged and you're already planning for a marriage, ask yourself and the person that you're planning on being your spouse this question. Are we planning for a wedding or are we planning for a marriage?
And there's people watching this thinking about it. Well, it's single people watching. This is a wonderful time while you're single to just get alone with Jesus and get to know him in the deepest level possible. Talk to him, spend time with him, listen to what he's telling you. Get in the Word. Get yourself healthy and strong in the Lord, strong in the Word.
Yeah.
And if you're single and you have the mindset, well, I just always want to be single. I don't need a man in my life. Get alone with the Lord and ask him why you would feel that way. Because marriage is a blessing. I'm happy I'm married to Gina. She's a beautiful woman.
I'm happy I'm married to you. You're awesome.
I want to read Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6, because it's really all about trusting God and trusting your spouse, because that's the first thing that you are going to have if you want to have a healthy marriage. There has to be trust in it. If a person cannot trust the person that they are with, you are going to have problem after problem.
Yes.
And that is why it is so important to be faithful and loving to your spouse, because yes, God can restore and redeem all things, but I can assure you, I love this, like when Jonathan talks about this, I can assure you that if I went out and cheated on Gina, that there's going to be consequences to it. Could the marriage be restored? Maybe. But, trust, you can lose trust like that in one moment. And I've talked about that before, your credibility. It takes a really long time to get it. It takes, less than an hour to lose it. And then it can take a lifetime to get back. And some things you never can get back.
Right. I think that might be a whole topic we can talk about, actually, because there's a lot that goes into that. Because it's not just you and your spouse, but if you have children and your parents and your family members and your friends and the people in your church, I mean, that becomes a very widespread thing.
That's a whole different topic.
You're not just hurting each other by doing something like that. You're hurting lots of people. Lots of people are affected by your decisions. So that's actually a big topic we can do.
Yeah, and the reason I'm faithful to Gina is not because I'm afraid that if I cheat I get caught. The reason I'm faithful to Gina is because I love her with all my heart. And I would never want to do anything to cause her pain.
And I love him too.
I know she does.
I wouldn't do anything to hurt you either.
Proverbs chapter 3. I like when Tiff Shuttlesworth says, start in the Bible, stay in the Bible, and finish in the Bible. Yeah. We were giving Bible verses, but I'm going to wrap it up with this. Wrap it up. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. Good. Trust the Lord in every area of your life. Trust him in marriage, and if you are not married yet, trust him that he has the perfect spouse for you. We'll see you soon. We love you guys.